Okay, before I actually work through those couple extension problems, I want to talk to you through a little bit of an understanding of this concept before we start. What happens when you're solving inequalities is there is something that is different than solving a regular equation. Let's take a statement that we know is absolutely true. We know that -2 is less than 5. Okay? We agree with that, I hope. Hope all of you know that a negative number would be less than a positive number. Okay, I'm going to take a minute now, and I'm going to go ahead and show you some work so you can help you understand how these equations work. If I multiply both sides by 2, okay, which would be a legal step in multiplying. Okay, if I multiply both sides by 2, I get -4 is less than 10. Okay? -4 is definitely less than 10. That's absolutely true. Okay, there's no problem with that. If let's say I add 8 to both sides. Okay, -4 plus 8 is 4. Adding 8 on the right side is 18. 4 is less than 18. Not a problem with that either. Let's say I subtract 6. -2 is less than 12. Yep, that's great as well. Okay, so when I multiplied by 2, it wasn't a problem. If I added or subtracted, it wasn't a problem. Watch what happens on this next statement. What if I take both the sides and multiply by a -2? When you multiply by a negative, you get +4. -2 times -2 is less than. Multiplying here by a negative, I get -24. Is a +4 less than a -24? Probably guessed by the way I'm saying it. No, a positive number is never less than a negative. The problem came when I multiplied by this negative. It changed the signs of my answers. When I change the signs of my answers, that causes a problem in, I'll stop it. Okay, sorry, there was a little glitch in that. So when I multiply by the negative, it changes signs of my values and it changes the true statement of my inequality. It's no longer true. This would be the same if I were to divide as well. If I multiply or if I divide by a negative. Okay, so that's what this next extension concept shows. So let's pull back out our note sheet. I guess you probably still have it out. I need to pull mine back out. You notice it says reverse the sign. Okay, it explains it a little bit there, but it's really wordy. What I want you to read here is when your coefficient is negative and you multiply or divide by a negative number, so here's the key thing. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, in order to keep the inequality statement true, you must reverse the inequality symbol. Okay? If you have a highlighter, I would recommend you highlight this. The idea is multiply or divide specifically by a negative number. That's when you reverse the inequality symbol. Okay? So let me show you how that works. Looking at this inequality here, if I solve that, the first step would be to subtract 5. And when I subtract 5, I'm left with -2x is greater than 8 minus 5 is 3. The next step to solve is -2 times x, so I divide by a negative. Well, there it is. I'm dividing by a negative. Okay, I need to do that on both sides. As soon as I divide by a negative, the sign value, positive versus negative, changes on both sides. This was a -2x, now it's just a positive 1x. Is greater, that's the one I want to change. And then this side goes from 3 to -3/2, or if you want to put it as a decimal, -1.5. When that happens, I have to change the sign. It was greater than, I want to change it to a less than. Now my equality remains true, and this is my answer to my inequality. Okay, let's see that a few more times. So here, thinking about, there's a lot to do with this solving, so I have to think about my declam. There's no distributing. There's no like terms on the left or right, so no combining like terms, but there is a variable to move to the left. So I'm going to subtract that 3x to move it to the left side. 2 minus 3 is negative 1x. Minus 8 is less than or equal to. And then what's left on this left side is that negative 12. Okay, continue to work through and solve that. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And I'm left with negative 1x is less than or equal to negative 4. Next step is negative 1 times x. I'm going to divide by a negative. Oh, I heard myself say it. I'm dividing by a negative. Whenever I divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, I need to change the sign. The sign was less than or equal to. I'm going to change it to greater than or equal to. And what I have is x. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. Okay, pause now. Now, try number 15. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've completed number 15. I'm going to go ahead and work through it here. You distribute first to get 16 minus 2x is less than 10. Solving this, I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. I'm left with negative 2x is less than negative 6. Then to simplify this, I have to divide by a negative 2. Divide by that negative, dividing by negative, dividing by negative. Change the sign. It's less than, so I'm going to change it to greater than. I have x left on the left. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. Okay? That's the idea for the extension. The key concept is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must reverse your sign, which means you're reversing that inequality symbol, switching it from a greater than to a less than, or maybe a less than or equal to a greater than or equal to. Okay, that finishes us up for the whole note sheet. What I'd like you to do now is work on practice 2. So you have your practice 2, pull that out, work on that. As soon as you have it completed, let me know so I can check your answers and see how you're doing. Thank you.